Hey, Michelle Cederberg here. Like so many self-isolating people, I have taken to making my own bread. But this is not an ordinary loaf of bread. Oh no, this, my friends, is a yeast-leavened, fresh from the oven, full of love, comfort-inducing, carb-loaded COVID coping mechanism. And so I thought that I would share the science and common sense behind our pandemic bread making obsession. When we're stressed, we need creature comforts, and there's nothing more comforting than a loaf of fresh bread. The process engages all of our senses, and if you follow the recipe, it yields predictable results, and that's particularly reassuring during these unpredictable times. And there's no need to worry. It's super easy to make. Just 4 ingredients: flour, salt, water, and the magic ingredient, yeast. If you want to make this bread, that last ingredient may be near impossible to find right now, unless you've got a supplier. Now, I probably shouldn't reveal my sources, but thank you, Iris Meck, Advancing Women Conference's fearless leader, for hooking this girl up. Now, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to make this bread, but I'll also share a link to a proper recipe below. All you need is 3 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of yeast, and 1.5 cups of warm water. The simplicity of this recipe is why so many of us are so keen to give it a try. Right now, with all the fear and uncertainty, we're processing a lot of information and emotions, and our brain's bandwidth is overloaded. What we don't need is to tackle complicated projects. What we need is a simple, meditative distraction that also yields such comforting results. Once you've mixed it all up, cover it with plastic wrap and let it rise for 8 to 24 hours. And as if by magic, the dough rises up and you end up with a beautiful bowl of bubbly, soon-to-be bread. Now, I'm no baking pro, so if you need more tips, check out Julie Van Rosendahl at Dinner with Julie on Instagram. She's always got great information to share, and I got a lot of great tips there. Thanks, Julie. All right, this next part's kind of fun. Scrape out the dough onto a well-floured piece of parchment and then fold the dough into itself several times until it forms a ball. Kind of meditative, really. Flip it over and then let it sit for 30 minutes. While it rests, preheat the oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit along with a Dutch oven-style pot or bowl with a lid. Another reason bread baking is all the rage right now is because it addresses basic human needs. In fact, it hits 3 levels on Maslow's hierarchy of needs: the physiological need for sustenance, which also gives us a sense of security, and esteem needs are met because every time you pull a fresh baked loaf of bread from the oven, it's an absolute feeling of accomplishment. This is indeed so much more than just a loaf of bread. When the oven is good to go, cut an X across the dough with a sharp knife. Remove the baking dish from the oven and add a glug of olive oil or spray it with cooking spray. Then, carefully lift and place the dough into the dish, pop the lid on, and place it in the oven. You're going to bake it for 30 minutes, and when the timer goes, remove the lid and bake for an additional 8 to 10 minutes. Voila! The finished product. When you take your bread out of the oven, make sure you let it cool for at least 15 minutes before you cut into it, or you risk squishing it flat. Oh, I wish you could smell this. Which reminds me of another bit of bread making science geekery. The smell of fresh baked bread elicits a Pavlovian response through odor-cued memories and conjures up cozy feelings from our childhood. My mom used to bake all the time when I was growing up, so I know that that's absolutely true. One last fact. Eating carb-rich foods like bread stimulates insulin, which causes your brain to uptake tryptophan, which in turn increases the production of serotonin, a neurotransmitter that promotes calm and sleep in times of stress. So enjoy that slice of bread guilt-free, but maybe avoid eating the whole loaf in one sitting. And to balance that uptake in carb love, make sure that you're prioritizing daily exercise during self-isolation. Until next time, I'm Michelle Cederberg, reminding you you've got one chance to do this life. I say dare to live it big and be okay with a little bit of carb comfort during COVID. Oh, God, that's good. Oh, yeah. right? Yeah. You're welcome. The way to a man's heart. Well, that was great.